Welcome back to day 75 of our chess journey to 1500 ELO on chess.com. It's currently past midnight for me now and I'm getting a bit tired, but let's keep going for a little while and see how we do. Let's jump on ahead into our game. We get Medvenks from the US. Let's play 1d4. We get the England Gambit. And I'm quite confident. Oh no, we get this again though. Huh. I was going to say I know all the theory here. I don't quite do so though. But here again, I think taking was not the best move. I think this was good last time. So let's bring this out into the Hartlaub-Charlik Gambit, whatever this is. I'm expecting our opponent knows the theory here quite well. This should work in our favor. We don't want to take. Now what do they do? I was hoping for a normal England Gambit, where we got all the fun stuff of coming down here and hitting a queen and whatnot, coming up with the bishop, coming back down. But we do get this alternative line for, I think this is the second time in a row against the England Gambit that we face this move. The knight comes out, applying pressure here. I think this doesn't change a whole lot, as if takes, and takes, we still get this, which does not look bad at all. Although I think we might have this move here first, applying further pressure and allowing us to recapture if needs be. Then if this is played, we take. Our opponent has to take. If they take with the queen, well, that's no good. Or with the king rather. If they come back, we just take a free pawn. And we develop here as well. They could push perhaps. Might be possible. I don't want to fianchetto here now because of our bishop being here. So we can't drop back if we do. So I'm expecting e3, maybe e4 is a move. It looks a bit aggressive to me though. And it doesn't quite keep our pawn structure as nicely tucked together as we might otherwise see. Although this might still be a good move, playing a bit aggressively. The bishop comes out. I was looking at this move. Here, and if they take and we take, then they can take here. So maybe we take here first now. This makes sense to me. We could look for a mass simplification. I think we have accomplished what we wanted, and let's try to play a pawn up now, because we do have our developing moves done. Yeah, let's come up here and take. If takes, we take with the e-pawn, I think, opening up our bishop and preparing castling. Or well, let's have a look here. If they take here, we might have this in-between move. No, we won't. Then they take our queen. I think we might have to respond like this if they take. Alternatively, no, I'm not seeing the response here either. We would get this, and this might be good, but I'm not convinced. The bishop comes out and takes. Let's take here too. Then After this, we can take. I'm expecting them to capture. I'm not seeing a good alternative here. This doesn't quite work, I think. So let's simplify this and play with a pawn up. And trading here is going to force an isolated pawn for our opponent in a game where we are already up a pawn. And that's going to be good. At least that's my intuition here. We might have made a mistake, but I'm not quite sure we have yet, because I'm feeling quite confident in these moves, although I have not quite looked at the theory of this Hartlob Charlik gambit here. At least I feel like the moves flow quite nicely here. They take like this. And now, as I mentioned, well, we might have this move as well, which might just be a free tempo. A free tempo. This might be played now, but it feels like it blocks our pieces a bit too much, so it doesn't quite convince me. We can't come up here like this because of the knight. So I think we should just play decent chess here. It's either going to be e3 or h3. This, and this. Then our opponent might have some pressure against us, but the bishop is easily defended. This, and this. I think this just gives us some free tempo here. And it's going to give us loft for later. And now if they take, we get the e-pawn moved for free, giving us another tempo essentially. Otherwise, we do have to play this, as we've been looking at. Just want to make sure there are no ideas here. But well, this is defended after all. So let's come here instead. I made sure the queen can't come here and pin the pawn because of the knight. Otherwise, this might have become a bad move. If the queen moves, this pawn is always looking a bit weak. We could potentially look at, this pawn here does get hit. But is this scary? I don't necessarily think it is, because we can move out here, and if the knight comes in, we have e4, hitting the bishop. The pawn might be a bit weak, but it might be a good pawn as well, I think. We can come here, finish our development, and this looks quite solid. I am quite confident our opponent's plan here is to play this knight move. This might have worked as well, but it's not as ideal, I think. So let's push here and intend to face this with e4. But then if we get pinned, we could unpin ourselves perhaps. And that looks okay, then we are ready to castle. And this is still defended. Or no, we can't quite go there though. This. And we might have to come up with the queen instead. But this looks convincing. We defend the pawn, we threaten this and this. We prepare queenside castling, and our opponent's position seems to fall apart here. I'm just scanning the board for a counterplay. Not really seeing any. So where does the bishop go now? Probably to g6. This is played, but we looked at this move. And as I mentioned, where does our opponent go here? Oh, they go here. Well, that's kind of funny. We might have to go here then. Then we have to play here. But this works as well. We might even have this move now. Yeah, this looks good as well. Because it's either going to force a piece back, or it's going to force the king to move. So it feels like we have quite a few options here. I'd like to come up here and develop with tempo. I'm expecting the bishop to come back perhaps, but the knight might come back instead. But then I think we have this, threatening to capture here once again, and threatening the bishop. And then this does become difficult to play. And if the bishop comes back, we takes. We don't quite have this again, because they can take once we leave this. But we might find some alternative ways of playing this. But well, the knight comes back. And I think this looks quite crushing. Oh no, oh no. This square doesn't hit this. But, well, it's still going... Yeah, this was the fork, never mind. This was what we were looking for. This is pinned, it can't move. This can't be taken. So this is a dual threat. If this, we just take still. But let me double check and make sure here. If we come here, what could our opponent play? Is there a move? This can't move at all, so let's disregard any knight moves. Maybe this. I guess they will come back here and defend. That's quite passive, but it's probably the best move. And then what? Here I think we have queenside castle, now threatening to take this pawn. And that's not easy to defend, I think. Let's see whether we have other moves here on this move. Well, here, no, we can't quite go here either, because then they can take. But still, this move looks good as a first move, and then we follow up with queenside castle. This will be played, most likely. And if our opponent does not find the move, then we win material. But if they do find the move, we apply further pressure. Still, this pawn is defended by our knight, so we don't have to be worried yet, of course. The nice thing here is we force the bishop back to d7. So this can't be defended by the rook because of the bishop. But now this just seems to lose material. We take and we take, right? Yeah, this is a blunder. We don't necessarily have to take the knight here though. We could just take the bishop first. But well, when we already have a guarantee of winning material, why not just take as much as possible and simplify. I'm trying to evaluate the difference here in the position. I don't want to complicate things. But is this complicated? This bishop is more important than this knight. It's a lot better. So I think taking here instead of taking like this, followed by this, is better for us. And now here we might have this as well. Once we come here, they can't take because we come back, and we are covered on all bases. So let's take and see what our opponent does. Still, this knight cannot move. So now I'm quite confident. We can take this whenever we want to for another piece. We can castle. Queenside looks good. We get kingside castle. Do we just take here and now though? And then this follows. But then our pawn can be pressured. But still, I would like to start off with taking this knight now, because our opponent castled. We are up 7 points of material, but we will be up 4 points after this. Now, I like this, followed by this, and we will have our rooks in great positions. Well, this is open though. But that's not scary, I think. After this, there is no concrete way, I think, of attacking our king. This looks like a slow plan, and we should have counterplay there, I think. So let's go for this and see what they do. This is still defended twice and attacked twice. This is always an idea to defend. If we get this, and then we can push, protected by this knight. We have this idea perhaps, which might force this weakening move. No, it doesn't quite force it, because the knight defends. But still, I'm liking our position here. Most likely, I think, our opponent might just try to go for an all-out attack now, because they are low on material. Because if we get to consolidate here, we are probably going to win, and I think our opponent realizes this as well. We could maneuver this knight over to b3. Seems like our opponent is collapsing somewhat, at least, because now they just give another free pawn, and this b pawn is never really threatened because of this. Well, I'm a simple guy. I see a free pawn, and I take a free pawn. This allows this, and simplification here perhaps. This is still possible. We could have this at some point. Let's just take this, and I think we take here. I'd like to keep our knight around the king. This would open up the king now. It's not an immediate threat, but it's looming. This might be annoying, because then we do threaten taking because of the pin. This is a move. This is an idea. We don't even have to move the... Yeah, this is just... Our opponent is just going for blind aggression. We just pushed the pawn, I guess, and then what is their idea? This might be a move as well, but why make matters complicated? This doesn't work, or, well, this works. It looks like a fork, but we can come back and defend ourselves. And then if this, we just come on over here. Do we have another defensive resource? This might be a move, but it does not look as concrete as coming back. If this is played, well, that's actually a bit annoying, because it comes with the threat of coming here, but it's not all that powerful, I think. Let's not waste time though. This looks good. So why not just go for it? Maybe because... Oh. Let's not complicate stuff. You know this, Daniel. Don't overcomplicate it. But well, this does look more concrete, because we can come here, hit the queen. This is still defended here. And their attack will be kind of killed off. So I'm liking this, because it intercepts the queen here. But then this and this, oh, they can't take there. This might be, okay, then let's go here instead. And not spend the last remaining seconds we have on our clock here. If this is played, I think this is just a logical move, so we don't have to keep defending this knight. Although this, and we could just come here actually. This hits the queen and the knight, so our opponent should have to take, and then we take, and the less pieces the better for us. Let's see, this, and this. What happens if we get hit here? Oh, this doesn't work, because then we have checkmate. Okay, so this is not really a threat, which is good. That's quite promising. Can we play for this, dislodging the knight from the defense? Maybe. But I'd like to get our last piece out first, to just make sure we have this game in the bag. So what does our opponent have? This does nothing. We go here and our opponent has no play. There is no piece here that can coordinate an attack on b2 with the queen. Maybe this, and this looking to play here. Well, that's no good, I think. It seems slow. Maybe it's good. Let's say we get this. But honestly, worst case, we just move the knight here even. It's passive, but we keep this. Oh no, never mind. This knight defends this either way. I got confused by which square we were looking at. If our opponent plays a rook to this file, we play our rook here, and if they take, we take. So this looks good. The knight here, it can't quite move. We have the bases covered. So this piece is immobilized for the time being, unless it wants to come back to e8, which looks horribly passive. And from this square, I'm not seeing a whole lot. Then I guess we just come out with our last piece, as we talked about. And we should be in a great spot. But let's see what happens here, here, and here. I guess we come up here. But then if this is played, yeah, that's no threat. We can always take with a pawn. And this is defended by the king. This pawn can be pushed, but it can't do a whole lot on its own, and that's a slow plan. If this is played, we might just keep on making good improving moves. I'm seeing our opponent has disconnected here. I'm hoping they come back so we get a game here, although this might be akin to resignation. Depending on what type of player this is, I'm hoping we do get to play the game though. But still, I'm struggling to find plans for our opponent. So maybe they just did not find a plan and did not want to play the game. But then, please do play out your games, or resign at least if you do not have, or if you do intend to leave the game, because this does not help anyone. But still, I feel I will keep this entire section from their last move up until now, because I feel like we have discussed important stuff and we have had productive analysis here. So as our opponent's time runs out here, I want to thank you all for watching so far, and I'm hoping this becomes a great analysis still. The game is abandoned. Let's have a look at the game review. Despite leaving, thank you for the game, Madvanks from the US. This was a fun game in a nice computer line. Computer line, I mean a nice gambit line. Let's jump ahead into the game review. So we played with 88.2 today, and our opponent played with 76.7. We made an inaccuracy, but apart from that one, it seems our gameplay was quite okay. Let's have a quick look. This is deemed an inaccuracy. Funnily enough, although it's the second time we met this move. This is its own opening, I guess, but apparently it's supposed to be played in another move order. Let's have a look here. Now d5 even though. But this does get a name though. it has its own opening name. Well, this was best. This was not the best move. Bishop to g5 was best. Yeah, I think I remember this now. We did look at this last time. And this was slightly better. I didn't quite remember though. Yeah, this was quite good. We don't have as much of an issue here. Positionally, there is not as much to resolve. But this was okay as well. It's not the best, but it does allow some more counterplay. Here, c3 was best. That's not a move I would have played. It blocks in the knight, and it does not really take into account this entire castling issue, although it does kill off some knight moves. e3 was good as well. This was good, and this was bad. We found the best move. The alternative here was knight to d4. If we didn't go for this here, I did mention something like this, and we did still have this, and this was good as well. Either way, the knight move was never really a threat, and we could just kill it off like this. Here, taking here was best. Why did I miss this? Oh yeah, it's because of this, I guess. But still. Yeah, I don't quite know. But still, this was not all that bad. This was about as good as the best move we took. This was forced. Here, taking on c6 was best. I missed this entirely. That's kind of funny, but it doesn't make a massive difference. Our opponent resigned after this move, as the game was essentially over, and we got a much needed win today. Once again, thanks a lot for the game, Madvanks. Thank you Thank you to all of you for watching to the end of the video. This has been our game for today, and I hope to see you all tomorrow. Bye bye.